Hey gang, it's me, it's Shannon, Sheepless Needles, vegan podcast, not about being vegan, where we do all sorts of fun stuff, but mainly we're going to try to hold me accountable for my hobbies and not letting them get out of control because that seems to be the recipe for my life right now. So cheers to out of control hobbies. This is going to be a different type of episode. And we're testing out some different things to see how they land and see what you guys think. So please, at the close of this podcast, in the comments, let me know what you think. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter format, a little bit different of a way I do things. I originally, when I was doing this podcast, I would give you everything that I was working on, everything that I finished, what's going on in my life, the whole shebang. And right now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial it back. And even though I have more than one finished project, technically for this episode, we're only going to talk about one of them. And that is going to be the Vertices Unite Baby Blanket by Stephen West. I've talked about this thing ad nauseum because this is the second time I've knit it. I did film snippets about the blanket that are going to be inserted momentarily so that you can watch the journey of the blanket. I love this pattern. If you are like me, where you, and you probably, if you're watching this, you probably lean this way. You like traditional hobbies, but you like an alternative spin on them. So for me, I love knitting, but I am not, super traditional. So there's a lot of like patterns I see that I think are fabulous. And I think the people who write the patterns are super talented. I see other knitters knitting them and I think they're incredibly talented, but it's just not up my alley. I've always done things a little bit off kilter. And so I feel like the Vertices Unite and Stephen West in general is kind of speaks to that person where you're a little asymmetrical. You kind of fly by the seat of your own pants and, whatever happens, happens. And I feel like when I watch Stephen West and when I see his patterns, that's just kind of what I breathe in from them. And the Vertices Unite baby blanket is no different because it is an asymmetrical blanket. It's not round, it's not rectangular, it's like shaped like a house. So it's got a pointy end and then a flat end. And I feel like you could probably use it in a variety of different circumstances for a baby. It might be too big to be like a car seat blanket, but I actually don't know because I've never had children. So those of you who have knit this or have received it and have kids or, weigh in, is this a good size for a car seat blanket or is it too big? But I think it's also just a really graphic blanket. And I know that when babies are babies, they don't see you know what I mean? Everything's a little different. So I like the striping. And the more and more I think about that, I kind of wish I had done a black and white blanket because I know black and white can be a really good thing for those types of patternings. But anyway, I love the blanket. I love that it's asymmetrical. The pattern itself is pretty easy. Now, what I did do in my past, one of the very first, and it might have been one of the very first projects I knit after I came back from a break. So I had originally started knitting early, I don't know, 2016, 2000, I don't know, sometime mid 2000s. And I gave it up. I walked away. And prior to COVID, just accidentally, I came back to it, which thank God I did because when COVID hit, I had stuff to do. But when I came back, one of the first things that I knit was a Vertices Unite shawl. And it was like a Christmas colored one or a holiday colored one. And I loved it. But that is kind of was my first introduction to the Vertices Unite pattern. And I fell in love with the construction on it because when people look at it, it looks like it's modular. It looks like you're knitting separate panels and then knitting them together. And that is not at all the case. You are literally knitting one section, moving to a second section, moving to the third section, and then you'll have a live edge that you either put on waste yarn or you can use like a spare set of needle, like circulars to put it on. And I think as you go around, at any given time, you're going to have 3 to 4 sections that are going to be on waste yarn. And then once you get, you do section 1, 2, 3, and you go all through the sections, the baby blanket itself has 8 sections. So by the time you get to the eighth section in the border, I think you're talking about, yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 of your sections that are on, waste yarn waiting to be, they're live stitches basically. So you don't knit a section and then put it down, start a new section, and then knit them together. It's knit all at once in a very well thought out patterning. And that I very much appreciate. Working the shawl first, I think, helped me when I got to the baby blanket because there is a section, and it's the first time you join 2 sections together using a third section. So you will have knit a section here and you will have knit a section here. And where my face is section 3. So essentially what you're going to be doing is joining the perpendicular sides of my hands, thumb and here, together with the third section. So you're literally starting with a very small amount of stitches, and then you're picking up selvage edge stitches from both of those sections and knitting. So that can be a little bit tricky the first time you do it when there's a very minor amount of stitches. It gets much easier as it grows to do it. But working on the shawl, I picked up that technique pretty quickly. So by the time that I rolled around to, this is now my second Vertices Unite blanket, and I think I've knit 2 or 3 Vertices Unite shawls. So I've done the pattern quite a lot. It was so intuitive and so easy. And I think the thing that really makes me laugh is the first time I knit it, I was super anal about counting the stitches in each section to make sure I had the right number of stitches on my edges. And this time when I looked at it just natively, it was like, okay, I just need to knit to the end of the section. I wasn't counting anything. I did it all visually. And it worked out perfectly. That's what I love about Stephen West is like, you can look at it and just something just clicks and it's like, oh, okay, so I'm knitting to here and then I'm stopping and whatever. None of this like, oh no, I only have 35 stitches and I'm supposed to have, I don't know, 38, whatever it is, right? Like you don't need to really worry about that. And he makes it very easy if you have an issue to kind of hide it or fix it in a very non knit backwards, tinking, undoing, frogging way. And we all know I'm not a huge fan of the frog or the tink. I like to live with my design elements as illustrations of where I was in life at the point of the genesis of said designer element. In brackets, mistake. End bracket. So that, my blanket, which I love, which I hope the baby loves, I will have Mr. Editor, please roll all the other footage. And you guys, it's bright and early on a Sunday morning, and this is Sheepless Needle's version of Inception because like I said, it's Sunday morning early. This is my very first sip of coffee. That is very hot, but it's very good. So why is this Inception? Because yesterday, probably around, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock, I filmed like an 8-minute snippet on the baby blanket because I needed to get it wrapped for the baby shower, which is today at 1 o'clock. I have done that. So what I'm going to do is, Mr. Editor, this little bit is going to go before yesterday's little bit. And then what I'm about ready to tell you will come after. So, hi, you see me now. I'm blah, blah, blahing, looking beautiful in the morning. Then you're going to see me yesterday with said baby blanket. And then I'm going to be me again. Yeah. So, Hey gang, it's me. This is a little inserted footage, so I don't know what order you guys are going to see this in, but it is the weekend that I normally film, and I've got lots of activities planned for this weekend. So two things. Even though you'll probably get two cheers, here's a cheers. Here's my beverage. And you may say, Shannon, that doesn't look like your normal dark beer. Well, kind viewer, it's not alcoholic. This is an iced latte. And why do I not have a beer? Because it is the annual pub crawl for my neighborhood. This thing started really small with just kind of like family and a couple friends, and we'd go to like area bars. We have a lot of bars in my neighborhood, like in and around my neighborhood. So this thing has grown, and I think last year there had to have been 80 to 100 people at it. So I have no idea. It's tonight. It starts at 6 p.m. I am not drinking any alcohol until that event starts, and I'm only having two beers because, old lady, one beer normally is enough for me. So I'm just going to take it easy, and I don't even think I'm going to make it to all of the pub stops because the baby shower for my brother-in-law, Jason, and his beautiful wife, Jessica, is tomorrow. And I really don't think I need to be at a baby shower hungover and feeling atrocious, especially when I know there's going to be screaming children there as well. And God love the screaming children. I mean, they do what they do, but you know what I'm saying. Your girl doesn't need to be like, oh. So I'm trying to caffeinate myself so I can stay awake because I'm it doesn't. Okay, so anyway, the whole point of this inserted footage is about the baby blanket because I'm about ready to pack it, and I thought I would show it to you the best I can. And I also will have Mr. Wonderful Editor insert some really great B-roll here so you guys can take a good look at it. I think it came out really well. I'm really super pleased with it. So it's a little blown out. So we'll have to have Mr. Editor put better footage in so you guys can actually see it. But you get the idea. It is, let me see if I can find a good place to hold it. It's asymmetrical. Yeah, it's not easy to show you, but I think you get the idea. The inserted picture and or video will help with that. And the back is super clean too, which I'm super proud of. And okay, so I will insert B-roll footage on this. The other thing I wanted to tell you that I did. Now, I'm interrupting myself, and I'm like gonna apologize for interrupting myself. This is stupid. For those who know or don't know, I have two cats. One of which is typically in my lap 24/7. She works with me, she knits with me. So if you've ever received a knitted gift from moi, you've also received that same knitted gift from my cat Maggie, because I guarantee you I've knit her hair into your thing. That might gross you out. I'm really sorry. But it is what it is. And the reason why I bring this up is the other thing that I'm really pleased with and I want to share with you in case you have questions. I come from a house of a lot of pet hair. And background really quickly, for over a decade, Mr. Editor and I ran a domestic rabbit rescue. If you do not know how crazy rabbit hair is, let me just tell you, it's insane. It is lighter than cat hair. It floats through the air. It goes up into your eyeballs. It gets everywhere. It's everywhere. So we had been using the same washer and dryer throughout the entire rescue. It was a Maytag. It did really well. However, it was a front loader. And I actually, when I think about this, I think we had a top loader at the beginning of the rescue, and sometime in the early stages, we got the front loader. You guys, I am not pro front load wash machines. I just don't. It started to smell like sewage. We had them come out and check it, and they would clean the filter underneath it, and there'd be nothing in there. And so every time I would run laundry, I have to run a quick wash in between with vinegar to help clean the drum. It was a nightmare. So my water bill was crazy insane because of all of that. In fact, my water bill this past 3 months was the same amount it was at the height of the rescue. And at the height of the rescue, we had 26 rabbits, and I was doing more than 3 loads of laundry a day. So, just so we're clear, lots of water usage happening there. So, I went ahead. Every time I say the word so, you have to drink. I went ahead because it was Memorial Day weekend recently, and I hopped on the good old Maytag website because I like a Maytag. And I did it, you guys. I bit the bullet. I bought a washer and dryer. I bought a brand new one. They were on sale. And here's the deal. Not only were they on sale, free delivery, free installation, free haul away. I was like, I'm there. I will affirm this. I will do whatever I need to do. I will make pay. I don't even care. Sign me up. So I went ahead and did it, and they were delivered this past week. I don't even know what day of the week it was. Two wonderful gentlemen came out, installed, explained everything, good to go. I got, you were like, why are you telling me about your washer and dryer, you freak? Because honestly, if you're below the age of like 40, you have no idea in your 40s and up how excited you're going to be about appliances. Anyway, I got the pet care set, and it has an innovative agitator where the water goes through the center of the agitator. There's a cutout and a filter inside the agitator. It's top load. So that when your clothes are like shoo, 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 right? The water is going through the agitator and the filter grabs the pet hair. And you can take it in and out of pet hair mode so that if you do the pet hair mode on this particular washer, it will run longer in the pet mode to get the water circulating. So the more it circulates, the more hair it can filter out. And why is this a wonderful thing that I'm so excited about? Because I cannot tell you how much better my clothes are, how much hair came out of the filter the first time I used it. And you dudes, I put the baby blanket through it because I firmly believe if you're giving a baby gift, you better believe it needs to be laundered, and you need to make sure it can survive a washer and a dryer. Because, like, I'm not about ready to give somebody a baby gift that can't be puked or pooped on, right? But I also washed it with my finished sweater, which you'll see later, or maybe you've already seen it. Maybe I've already talked to you about it. But you guys, there is not a sign of a Maggie hair on this beast. I am completely blown away by this washer set. I am not sponsored by Maytag, but hello, Maytag. If you're like, hey, we would love to have a sponsor a knitting podcast about getting pet hair out of your knits, I'm your girl. I'm right here. So here's the deal. You have to drink because I said the word so. Okay, baby shower is tomorrow. I'm going to be gifting that, so I'm going to go pack it, get it ready to go so I don't have to worry about it before this pub crawl. I will report back. I am hoping that they love it as much as I love it. So you're probably wondering, Shannon, why are you filming so early on a Sunday morning when you need to be doing other things and maybe like putting your feet up on the couch and all that stuff? And I just realized I'm probably talking really quietly. Well, you guys, last night was the pub crawl. As I told you in my footage, I was only going to have 2 beers, and I pretty much stuck true to that. I had 2 beers and maybe like 5 sips of a third and was like, peace out, I'm done. So we came home. We were home before midnight, which was fabulous. I crawled in bed and, it was a good time. But why am I telling you about that? Because the pub crawl is organized by one of Steve's brothers, and Steve's brother is basically best friends with Steve's little brother. So they have a large family, and there's some age bracket differences because it's a mixed family. So Jason, who this is having the baby with Jessica, Jason and his other brother are best friends. So Jason came in from Indianapolis with Jessica for the baby shower, but also they planned it so that the pub crawl would be the night before. So I thought. So we're at the pub. So I thought is what we're going to get to. Um, so we go to the pub crawl. We meet at the neighborhood pub first. And Jason sits down and we're talking. And he's like, yeah, well, so today was the baby shower and na 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 na. I was like, there's two baby showers? And he looked at me. He goes, what? I was like, well, what shower was today? He goes, the baby shower. I was like, no, I missed the baby shower. It was yesterday at 1. It was not today at 1. It was yesterday at 1. Steve, can you find the footage where I literally say, I'm getting this ready for the baby shower at Sunday at 1 from yesterday's footage? The baby shower for my brother-in-law, Jason, and his beautiful wife, Jessica, is tomorrow. Yeah, let's reinsert that. I missed the friggin' shower. And then I get told, by more than one person, might I add, I get told about the beautiful blanket that another family member knit for the baby. And babies can have more than one knitted blanket, and other knitters are beautiful knitters and all of that. But I'm sorry, let's just be real. Do you know how low my heart feels right now? I can't even tell you. Like, I halfway just don't even want to friggin' give it. Um, you guys, I missed the friggin' shower. And part of me is like, how did I mess this up so horribly? We've all been there. We've all missed things, but I literally thought it was Sunday the entire time. To make matters worse, yesterday, and I don't even know, I was doing our cleaning stuff that we do on Saturdays, like we take care of bunnies and stuff, whatever. So I'm doing that yesterday, and my mother-in-law texts me and says, hey, are you coming to the shower? I was like, well, yeah. I was like, but I lost the invitation, so just let me know where and when. When? Oh, 1 o'clock, and gives me the address. I still thought it was tomorrow, like today at 1, not yesterday at 1. So when we're on the pub crawl, like literally, I am holding back tears. And we're at the first place, and we stayed at each place for anywhere from like, I would say 45 minutes to an hour. That might be an overestimate. Maybe 30 minutes, I don't know, somewhere in between 30 minutes and an hour. So the first place, I know we left around 7. So we go to the second place, and at the second place, like someone said something to me, and I was just like, I was so upset. So I went outside and called my mother-in-law and just bawling. And I was just like, I cannot believe I did this. And she laughed, but I know she had to have been upset with me. And I don't blame her. She has every right to be. She ordered me a vegan cake for it. I mean, like, I feel like the biggest ass on the planet. So hopefully I'm able to get the blanket over to Jess and Jason today before they drive back to Indy. Um, but you guys, I missed the shower. Happy Sunday. I'll be back later today to actually film the podcast, but I just needed to. So, hey, listen, have you done that? Have you ever forgotten something like pretty important like that? Put it in the comments. Please make me feel better. Don't make me feel worse, please. Don't at me if you're going to make me feel worse. So, yeah, the baby blanket is wrapped up on my kitchen counter, and we are now going to have to ship it. And I was thinking about this because I took the footage up to Mr. Editor and kind of talked to him about how I wanted to do a intro and an end cap to the footage from yesterday and this morning. And what was really funny is in between all of this morning, I filmed when I got up, which sure, you know the difference. And my mom had called me, and I just think this is the strangest thing on the planet. She said, Shannon, I don't know how to tell you this. I know I just talked to you, and I'm sorry I keep calling you. She's like, but I don't know what to do. Your father lost his wallet. And so, what was really crazy about this is that I had forgotten that I filmed on Saturday about like everybody forgets things. Sometimes, you leave your wallet somewhere and you don't remember. Did I literally plant the seed in the universe for my dad to lose his wallet? Has this baby blanket become a cosmos of its own? Does it need to be on the Y files? What more is this baby blanket going to cause in my life? I've forgotten things. You saw it. You saw what happened. That's weird, right? I think the other thing that I kind of wanted to hit on also after I kind of saw the playback on some of the footage, and this is going to be the moment of honesty, and take it for what you will, because it's coming from a place of reality. I know I'm not an uber talented knitter. Like, I'm okay at it, and I'm fine with that because I love doing it. I am uber self-conscious about giving this particular blanket now, because not only do I know that they have a different blanket that was hand knit by a family member that everyone just keeps telling me how wonderful it is, and I'm guessing, and again, you should never assume, because what does it do? Exactly what's going to happen here. So just insert whatever you need to. But I'm just going to assume it's probably a traditional baby blanket, right? So now my concern is, okay, they loved the traditional blanket. They're going to hate this. They're going to look at it and be like, oh, thank you. Like, with that distaste in the back of their mouth, or like, this is the ugliest thing ever. And I think I'm sensitive to that for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons that I'm kind of trying to work through, and this is the moment of honesty, is being the black sheep of a family, which I very much have always been and still probably am to this day, even though I'm a grown-ass adult. It makes me, if I'm going to knit something for someone, it needs to be something that I love. Like, I'm not going to knit something that I just don't even find appealing, even if it is for someone else, because there won't be joy in the process of making it. And if there's not joy in the process of making it, I don't feel like the end result is going to be what it should be, right? I don't think that is my, oh, shaking the table. I don't think my output can be, I can't put a mask on the reality of how I see the world. And the way I see the world is not, I'm not saying I'm a snowflake, but the way that I see the world is not run of the mill. It's not your everyday traditional Midwestern person. And as a result of that, my tastes for things, I tend to forget that my taste is not the average, right? It's not above or below. It's just different. And I feel like the baby blanket is going to be a litmus test of this, because either people get asymmetrical things or they don't. They either get combining colors or they don't, you know. And I don't know in this case, after I've heard all about this other blanket, which I'm sure, you guys, I'm sure it's fine. And I should not have an attitude about the other blanket, because the woman who knit it, I think, is a fabulous lady. I really like her. I don't know her that well. She's kind of new to the family, but I just feel like she's got a good presence and she's got a good heart. So I know that she put her heart into what she knit, and it is going to be reflective of that, right? I put my heart into what I knit, and it's going to be reflective of that. But they're going to be polar opposite. And I just don't know. I've always been the person that people have been like, what are you doing? Like, you stick out like a sore thumb, blah, da, 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 da. There's always been this critique about either my appearance, my hair, my makeup, my weight, my whatever. It's all been these physical things that because I look different on the outside, somehow it devalues what comes out of me, right? And maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm being uber sensitive about it, but throughout my life, that is the way it's felt, that because I have chosen to dress the way I dress, or chosen, to be like, I'm going to look like a raccoon today, somehow people aren't going to take me as seriously. And maybe they won't, but I guess it's a filter for me, because if you're the kind of person who can't see through that or can't get past that, I don't need you in my life. Like when the company that I work for got bought out, it dawned on me because I was reading something in one of the handbooks that was like something about hairstyles will not be excessive. And I was like, what the hell is an excessive hairstyle? What? And I started thinking, and I was like, you know what? If they've got a problem with my hair, they're not the company for me. And I guess at the end of the day, if you've got a problem with the blanket, maybe babies aren't the thing for me. And they're not, because I don't have kids. Oh, the truth. But I think it's just a weird sensitivity. And I guess I'm worried that someone else outshined my knitting. And the reality is, it's like the same thing with running. There's always going to be someone who's faster. There's always going to be someone who can like run over hurdles and you're still trying to do a quarter-mile lap, right? And maybe this is the knitting version of that. I know that my skill as a knitter is okay, right? Like it's good. It's not great. It's good. I accept my where I am in the knitting echelon, but I start from a place of like, I feel like I'm already behind at the starting gate, right? Like I feel like everyone heard the gun go off, they started running, and I'm still tying my shoe, right? Like, because as a vegan knitter, you already have the attitude from the outside just about the use of the word vegan. Because I did have someone ask me, why don't you just say you're plant-based? They didn't say it like that, but that's the way I hear that. Because I'm not, I'm vegan. Vegan is an ethical term. I am vegan. I am not vegan for, vegan means you're vegan. You don't abuse or use or exploit animals, period. It's about the animals. It's not about me. If I was plant-based, that would be about, I'm plant-based and healthy and it's about diet, whatever it is. The reality is I am vegan. Being plant-based may be a secondary definition to my veganity, but veganity is where it begins, right? So I think that's already off-putting to a lot of people. When they hear the word vegan, they immediately have something pictured in their head. Maybe it's me, maybe it's not. Maybe I can break that stereotype down. I don't know if I can or I can't, but I don't think it's my responsibility to break that stereotype down. I'm just here. I own my space and I'm allowed to be here, right? And I feel that the knitting community at large really takes issues with vegan knitters, not plant-based knitters, but vegan knitters. And they will come at you with a fury that is just like, really? Are you really wasting your time adding me because I don't agree with the confinement and abuse of sheep? Like, is that where we're headed? Like, it's a really weird place to be. So there's that. And then there's the snobbery about yarn. And we've all been there. Vegan or non-vegan, almost every vegan I know has been out-snobbed about their yarn, and it's obnoxious. So what if something's acrylic? I can wash and dry it. If we're talking about environmental impacts, we'll hit that when I do the series on, different fibers. I did cotton. We'll get back to that. But nobody likes to be like punched down because of the yarn they use. Why does it matter? And why are the people who come at you for your choice of yarn, what's the what's the end game there? How does that make them feel better? Because at the end of the day, I feel like when people really come at you in a negative way, it's because that's where they're at. So the question is, why are they there? Why are they sharing that misery? And did it make them feel better or more powerful or whatever it is to put somebody in their place? So I'm already coming from like that's not a minor chip. That's a pretty big chip on the shoulder, right? And I usually look past that the majority of times. Like I've had people say some really stupid shit to me that I'm just like, oh God, whatever. I've heard it 100 times. Like, do you really think you're going to crack a vegan joke that I haven't heard by this point? Fine, you can try, but like, I mean, again, there's not a lot that you're going to say to me that hasn't been said. So you're not really going to upset me or phase me or, bully me in that way. But when it comes to something like this baby blanket, in my head, I'm like, okay, so someone already knit the perfect blanket. I missed the baby shower. Here's my blanket. It's asymmetrical. It's not for every people. It's not your everyday baby blanket. And I don't know if they're going to get it. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, will you get it? Do you understand the pattern writing of that? Will you understand the asymmetry of that and why there's beauty in that? Not everyone sees that. It's not everyone's cup of tea. And now that I've done it, I'm like, well, I put my heart in it. I love it. And maybe they'll see that. But if they don't, then I feel even worse because then they've got this blanket that they're never going to use. And I'm just like, great. So that's where I'm at. You guys, as they say, that's the peach tea. So at the end of this, here's the good news. I swear there's good news. My dad found his wallet. It was in the pants he wore yesterday. These are the pants that my mom said she went through 3 times. And Shannon, she just didn't feel for the wallet. She stuck her hands in all the pockets. Mm-hmm. I'm just glad he found it. That's the last thing I need is someone, using my dad's charge cards or whatnot and all that stress. So the good news is the universe inception baby blanket of stories of like leaving things behind and losing things. It came together in the end. My dad found his wallet. I'm here. I'm okay. I will report back. I feel like this is a downer. I didn't mean it for it to be a downer. I will report back on the next podcast on the reaction to the blanket. And I don't really know if I'm going to get the real reaction because you never know. I gave the blanket to someone before and I know they didn't like it. And I don't think they realized what they had. And it's one of those things where down the road, if a fellow knitter sees that blanket, if you're a knit, like if you knit and you've been knitting for any period of time and you're on Ravelry or you're on any of the knitting socials, I would think it's pretty safe to say most knitters at least know who Stephen West is, right? And most people can probably pick out one of his patterns because they're really Stephen West, right? Like they stick out in such a brilliant, good way. And I will be that butterfly of Stephen West every day of the week if I need to be. But I think, in that case, if a fellow knitter sees it and says something to them, that they may realize. But the other thing is when you give something, it's no longer yours, right? So the reaction to it isn't mine to take in, it's theirs. So I'm trying to kind of embrace that and understand that once something I have made and given, even if it isn't well received, it is in the universe and it's in the universe from a place of love. And I think that's the most important thing. And that's what I keep telling myself is whether they get it or whether they like it and get it makes them sound like they're stupid. And I don't mean it that way. I just mean get it in the sense that it's their vibe, right? It hits the right frequency. And if the frequency is off, would they ever tell you? Of course not, because they love you, they're your friends, and they're not going to want to hurt your feelings. But I have to get to a point where once I've done it and it's gone, it's not mine to worry about. It's out in the ether and it's someone else's. And I hope and would say, I'm sure other people agree with me. If someone receives a knitted gift that they don't like I would prefer give it to someone who appreciates it, right? Don't keep it and never use it. Don't throw it in a box in the corner and pull it out when I'm coming over. I would never, if someone was like, oh, I love that blanket, give it to them. Because if they love it, the vibe frequency has been met, right? So I don't know. All of this to say, do you ever get this insecure about gift knitting? That's really, at the end of the day, what this is about. It's about inception, baby blankets, the universe, the cosmos, this beer, my dad's wallet, you know. That's it. So next time, we will be talking about the Dustland sweater. So get your sweaters on, even though it's going to be like 99 degrees next time I film. We're going to film in the heat and we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about that sweater. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the knit, the gnat, you know. I'll see you next time. So take care of yourselves, take care of one another so that you guys can take care of each other, love each other, all that good stuff. Get your vibe frequency in check. Get your asymmetry online. Play some Diablo 4 because it's fabulous. I don't care about the complaints. I'm having a good old time. I also started ESO. We'll talk about that. We got stuff in the groundworks. It's happening. But I need to get this to Mr. Editor and get it to you guys. So thank you for listening to this ramble. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time, okay? Toot holes! Cheers! So drink! Yes!